Amazon, Skybox cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USBTO, tuần theo link thêm, tuần trên Scout, logistics và warehouse. Xem hình thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.
What's up, guys? This is Brett from FBA Excel. This video is going to be a brand new Adtactix quick start video just to get you acclimated to the tool. I know it can be a little bit intimidating when you first open it up because there's a lot there, but I promise it's actually really easy. So in this video, we're going to be going over really some of the core features that can move the needle for you right away. So that's my goal, to get you up to speed and feel confident in at least optimizing bids, creating some campaigns in bulk, and we're going to do some bulk negating as well. So we're going to cover a lot. First off, though, I wanted to point you to the members area here where you actually downloaded the tool here with the blue button. Make sure if you didn't, you go ahead and open up the green quick start guide here. It's going to cover getting the tool authorized and getting the menu displayed, which is really important. All right, so this is what it looks like. It's going to have step-by-step screenshot instructions for basically everything in the tool. It's also got some video training towards the bottom here. You can expand any of these sections and learn more information. And then when it comes to the menus and Adtactix, we've split out the training by menus so you can learn more about each one and kind of get more advanced as you progress. But I'd say for the first couple weeks, you really just focus on what I'm covering in this video, and you're going to definitely make a difference in your account. So in this video, we're going to be covering kind of this 10-step quick start guide. It may look a little bit different after you're reviewing this, but for the most part, there's going to be a kind of quick start step-by-step guide that you can follow along with this video and kind of reference back and forth and really get up to speed quickly. So know that this is here. Know that there's also some frequently asked questions here. So if you do run into any issues, consult there before reaching out to support. The other big thing, if you are not in the US and you're selling in a non-USA market, make sure you read the language settings and just follow all the instructions here in the authorized and general settings section. So after that, the only other thing I wanted to mention in the members area is if you are a very big seller, say your bulk files hundreds of thousands of rows, you are likely going to need to use our Excel bulk file optimizer tool. So you can watch this short video here in the members area. You can download it here, and there will be an unlock password that you're going to need to use with that. Just know that this password may change, so if for some reason it doesn't work when you're trying to use it, make sure you come in the members area and look for the updated password, and then it should work. So, all right, so back to Adtactix. When you first download it from the members area, it's going to open in whatever Google Drive account you're currently logged into. Once you've authorized, you should see this menu up here. If you do run into any issues, just contact support. And the first thing we're going to actually do to get started is just download a bulk file. So to do that, you're going to want to make sure you've selected your market here. You can see I'm in the US, and you're just going to go up to the import menu, click download and import bulk ads file. And you're going to get a prompt here, bulk operations platform in Amazon. It basically allows you to download all of your ads in one spreadsheet. That's what we're going to use along with the Adtactix tool to help optimize our bids, help create campaigns, help bulk negate, help do a bunch of other things. So that's just kind of the source data. So when you open up Amazon and you'll basically click this blue button, it's going to take you right to this page under the bulk operations screen. There's going to be a few options you're going to need to decide on what you want to choose. The first one's going to be the date range. I typically recommend when you're first starting using Adtactix, you click 60 days because that's going to give you the most data to work with, both the advertising targeting data and your search term data. So if you do have an established account, you're going to be able to make a lot of progress right away. If you have a brand new account, you know, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. I would at least choose 30 days, but I would just recommend 60 for the first one. And then as you start to optimize things, you can kind of tighten that range up, and a 30-day range is a good kind of ongoing date range to pick. But for this video, we're going to be trying to bulk negate, try to reduce some of the wasted ad spend that we've been incurring over the past 60 days. So in this example, you can see I chose 60 days. And for the checkboxes, for the sake of this training, go ahead and choose exactly what I have shown here. Please note, don't choose the guidance for sponsored products. That's going to cause issues. It just slows things way down. You don't really need it with Adtactix. Then the other new feature that is not in past videos is we can now use these sponsored product search term report that comes in with your bulk file. So go ahead and tick that box there. You'll hit create spreadsheet for download. You're going to need to wait probably 5-10 minutes, and then there'll be a little link underneath this view here within Amazon that you can actually download your bulk file. Just save it to where you know where it is. You can put it on your desktop. You can put it in Google Drive, wherever you want, just so you know where it is. A few other notes here on the marketplaces, especially if you're not in the US. You want to make sure within Seller Central, you've toggled your language to English. So there should be a selector in the upper right of the Seller Central homepage or in the bottom left, I believe. Just make sure that's set to English. Make sure on the settings tab here, you've got that to US. And if you have any issues with your menus and whatnot within Google Sheets showing in a different language other than English, make sure you consult the Adtactix guide under the frequently asked questions, because it'll talk about the language settings and stuff like that. You want to make sure your Google Sheets is set up to English. The other thing, when you click yes on this prompt here, there's a chance that it may not open automatically to the bulk operations screen within Seller Central. If you know where that is, you can just go there and download your bulk file. But what usually is the problem is you've got a pop-up blocker on. So as soon as you hit this button for yes, look up here in the URL bar and you'll see a little kind of eyeball pop up, or it'll be a little X with a little window there. Click on that and then say always allow pop-ups, and then you won't have any issues. So I'm going to click no. I've already got my bulk file saved in my Google Drive, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab that one. But again, these are the options I chose. So we're just going to go now to File, Import. And if you saved it to your desktop, you can just go over on the upload option, grab it from your desktop, and just drag it over. I've got it within my Google Drive here. So if you want to save it directly from Amazon to your Google Drive, that's a nice way to do it. So I've got the file here in a test folder. So you're just going to go ahead and double click on that guy and hit insert. And then this is pretty important on this option here. You're going to choose insert new sheet, import data. And when that imports, you should see at least 5 tabs down here. You can see our search term reports here on the far right. Then we've got our sponsored display, brands, and products. Even if you're not running sponsored brands and display, that is a requirement to bring all 3 of these sheets in, just in case you do launch them in the future. Everything will kind of be consistent. Portfolios, this just gives you kind of a quick hit list of the portfolio overview. Don't really need to know a whole lot. Just know that this is literally all of your ads data that you're currently running in your account. So the next step is you want to make sure on the settings tab, by default, the template will have this option checked, but just in case, go down in the bottom left and you'll see a sponsored product search term report mode. You can read there kind of what it's doing. Basically, Amazon allows you to download your search term data that matches that date range that we picked when we downloaded our bulk file. And it's got all of the information in there for any of these search terms as opposed to the targets that customers are typing in and firing for your ads. So we're going to use that to both do some bulk negating, reduce wasted ad spend, and launching new campaigns really easily. All right, so as long as this box is checked, we're good to move on to the next step. Know that there's a lot of kind of external reports that you can bring in to Adtactix to do a bunch of other things. We're not going to cover any of those in this video, but you basically just check the boxes of the ones you want to import, and then there's a really quick way to manage those. You'll click this button, it'll take you to the pages, you can download them, you save them into your Google Drive with a special kind of name code, then you just click this button and it automatically brings everything into the tool, so you don't have to copy and paste anything. It's really quick and efficient. But this new search term mode is very efficient because we've already got the data for our search terms in here that came in with our bulk file. So we're just going to make sure that that little box is ticked, and we're going to go ahead and skip step 2 and just click on step 3 here. So when that operation is done, you're going to get a little prompt here that just says you're ready to go. Basically, all that did was kind of set up our bulk files and our search term report. It cleaned things up. It added some columns. It's going to make it a lot easier for us to do some more automation. So if I click on the search term report over here, you'll see it's going to look different than what you're used to on the search term report. There's going to be some check boxes. There's going to be a negate column. It's going to tell you if you've got like multiple ASINs in one campaign for each search term, and then you've got things that are a little more condensed over here. So not a whole lot different as far as the data goes, but just a little more user-friendly. As far as the advertising, the 3 ad type files, you've got a red new bid column. So that's where our optimized bids are going to get automatically calculated. There's a few other external columns that got added in the sync operation we just ran. Know that you'll only ever need to run this operation one time within each kind of optimization session like we're doing right now. You'll just need to hit that once and then you're ready to go. So you can see we've also got like a keyword count column that tells you how many enabled keywords are in each campaign. This ASINs column shows you the ASINs that are related to that campaign literally in every row. So the way this bulk file works, you've got each section or each campaign here. So like this section here is one campaign, then your campaign entity here is campaign 2. So within each one, you've got your placement data, your ad group data, your product ad data that has your SKUs and your ASINs, and then you've got all the keywords within that campaign. So just a lot of useful information. We can pretty much do anything we want with these files when it comes to Amazon advertising. All right. So with Adtactix, there's, again, a lot of menus here that we can talk about. The main one I'm going to be going over in this video is going to be the autopilot for the bid optimization. Know that there's a lot of kind of quick action filters and helpful quick operations you can run. There's specific training for each of these sections that you can learn how to take advantage of those. But what we're going to do right now is hop over into autopilot, which is by far the most powerful feature of the tool, and it allows you to essentially create a custom rule scheme for your advertising for all 3 ad types. So what it's going to look like when you first download the template is all of this is going to be kind of blank. So let me just get it back to how it looks. All right, so this is going to be kind of the templated rule scheme. So basically what you've got here is each row is a separate rule, and you can fully customize these rules however you want. So if you wanted to clear this out, completely start from scratch, you could. But I recommend just actually running this default template on your account and then kind of going back and forth between the sponsored products tab at least, so you can really learn what things are doing and how it works. But there's quite a few rules you can choose from. There's different bid formulas. There's some different modification bids based on the cost per click or the original bids. There's conditional bidding. You can bulk modify your campaign budgets, your modifiers for placements. So again, there's just a ton of functionality here. There's a way you can kind of segment the rule by all the ads. So if you wanted to run it on products, brands, and display, you can do that. Or if you wanted to just run it on specific match types, you could deselect this and tick just the match types you want to run them in, and you can have as many rules as you want. So a lot of different options. What I'm going to do is just what I would recommend you do. Come in here and just click this button here. You do have to, again, sync your bulk file, which we did there a few minutes ago, before you run this operation, or it's not going to let you run it. But as soon as you come in here, click that button, it's just going to take maybe 30 seconds. And you're going to see over here on the right, it's going to actually calculate how many targets were impacted for each of the 3 ad types. And then we'll be able to go back and forth and kind of get an understanding of what's going on. So there you go, hit OK. So we can see for rule 1 here, we had 1 sponsored product target that was changed, 3 sponsored brands, so on and so forth. So 9 for this one, 1 for sponsored brands, 2 for sponsored display. You can see up here, we've got some sponsored display that we need to take a look at that did not get changed. So that's what this means. So there's an easy way to kind of filter for those, and then you can assign rules accordingly based on why those didn't get changed. So anyway, what we're going to do now is I'm going to just show you rule number 1. So rule number 1, if we hop into our sponsored products campaign sheet, and you'll see a new column E, slid out on all 3 of these. I can just essentially filter this now for whatever rule number I want to investigate. So I'm going to click OK. You can see it was just 1 target, and it was a poor performer target, it looks like, and it looks like it was greater than 2,500 impressions with a bad click-through rate, so essentially 0 clicks, and we wanted to set it to 15 cents. So if I come back here, you can see that that is in fact what we told it to do. We said set the bid based on the curly brackets, means it's a variable on this dashboard. If it doesn't have curly brackets, for example, down here you can see sales divided by clicks. That's going to be related to the actual bulk file metrics. So it's a bit confusing, but it's not bad once you kind of do what we're doing right here and go back and forth to understand what's going on. So you saw that the impressions on that last example was greater than 2,500 impressions, and it had no clicks. So the click-through rate was 0 and the orders were 0. So it was changed to 15 cents. So if we look at this one, we should see Now 9 targets, you can see this is a high spend bleeders rule. So if we go over now and look at rule number 2, so I'm just going to change this to rule number 2. We should see 9 targets here, which we in fact do. They're all 15 cents. You can see here, this is the old bid and the red is our new bid. So we're reducing the bid considerably on these, obviously, but it's because they just haven't been performing. So you can see the high spend here with no orders, high clicks as well. The alternate is you could change this state to paused. So if you did that, that would actually pause the keyword completely when we go to upload our bulk file. But for the sake of this example, we're using just a down bid strategy. So know that you have some different options. All right, so I'm going to do a couple other examples just so you can kind of grasp the different types of rules here. So this one here, it doesn't look like we had any, but what it would have done is if our old bid was currently set at 15 cents, so that could be, over time as we downbid these to 15 cents, they could still get clicks and spend, but maybe we want to say after $20, we just go ahead and pause it. We don't want to keep, even low bidding it. So that would go ahead and just pause that target. So similar to how I just changed that pause column, it would automatically do that. So you can do that across any of the ad types as well. The next type of rule is going to be a modify bid instead of a set to bid. So the set to is just going to set it to whatever you put here, where the modify is going to be a delta change off of whatever's in the curly bracket. So if it says CPC like this red one, it's actually going to pay attention to the CPC. So that's over in this column, at least on the sponsored products, sponsored brands, that'll have the same metrics. It's just going to be maybe in a little different column. So this is the CPC, and then the bid that it's referring to in those rules is here. And then again, the red is what's getting optimized and calculated. So the modify bid in this one, we're actually doing something a little tricky. So we're actually not changing these bids. And the reason we want to do that is because they are getting enough impressions. We're comfortable with that. We want to give them a little more time to hopefully get a conversion. So we've got it set at 0 orders greater than or equal to 200 impressions. We're going to modify the bid based on the current bid, and we're going to change it by 0. So in that case, you're actually not changing it at all. So if we look at rule 5, all of these bids are the same. So 210, 185, 185. So we're not changing those. So similar to that, if we actually added a value instead of 0, this will increment it up. So you can add fixed values. So 2 cents in this case is going to increment it up by 2 cents. I could have just as easily added a percentage, and that would increment it by a percentage. We could also add a negative sign that would do a decrease. So you can see some examples for the cost per click option right here. Just very similar kind of concept across the board. Now we've got some advanced settings here. You can go ahead and minimize these if you aren't using it. It'll kind of simplify the dashboard a bit. But just know that you can do kind of a minimum floor and a maximum ceiling. That's going to create kind of an envelope of your bid, so you're not going to go below or above those. The delta thresholds here, that's going to kind of regulate the rate of change of your bids. So if you hover over any of these with a note, you'll get some additional explanation. But these can be really helpful, especially if you're doing like a ratio-based bid formula and you don't want to just take a look at the metrics and do the calculation and live with it. You want to actually try to kind of gradually either increase or decrease your optimization. That allows you to kind of do it based off a percentage of the current bid. So that's pretty helpful. There's additional columns here. I probably won't touch much on this video, but we've got some additional advanced training, and in the guide as well, it goes over all the columns and how to deploy the different rules. But you can see in the green there for placement modifiers and campaign budgets. In gray, you can also hover over the headers there and learn more. So pretty simple once you grasp and kind of do what we're doing again, guessing and checking. The CPC here, we'll go ahead and just do a quick example there for rule number 7. So you can see a 15% increase, and you can see we've got some pretty complex order threshold, click threshold, conversion rate threshold, ACoS threshold. You can see in this one we've got actually a range, so you can use operators. There's an AND operator there that's going to only trigger that rule when your ACoS is between 40 and 100. The rule 7, though, let's go ahead and look. We should have quite a few options there to take a look at. So 7, right? So you can see we've got quite a few there, and we've done a, let's go back and look. I forget what it was. All right, so rule 7 is a 15% increase, but it's based off the CPC. So you want to make sure when you're looking at this, you're understanding things correctly. So in this case, you would not look at the bid, which is actually what you're bidding on. And again, you can have a bidding strategy of up, down, fixed bid or down only. So if you have like down only, your CPC can be considerably lower, which is over here. So this rule is we're telling it we want to base our calculation off of this column here and then make the adjustment accordingly. So you can see from 30 cents to 35, that percentage increase is getting calculated to 35 cents. So on and so forth. You could just whip out your calculator and kind of get a really good grasp on what's going on. But pretty self-explanatory once you kind of learn the general process. So that's pretty much it. Just know that you can add whatever variables you want. You can remove whatever you want here. You can add however many rules you want extra. There's additional advanced templates down here. You can really get fancy and kind of split things out, segment things out quite a bit. I don't want to really overwhelm you with this training. I just want to kind of let you know that some of this stuff is there. There's also some advanced thresholds that's covered in the guide that, again, I'm not going to cover those in this training, but there is some videos here. So advanced autopilot training. So you can actually import your search query performance. You can import rank data, and there's going to be some thresholds then that act the same as these yellow ones. You're just going to click this little plus button. All right. And then you've got all of these additional kind of columns that act the exact same way to work from. So you got organic rank here in orange. You've got all the search query performance information and thresholds that you can kind of toggle and regulate your rules by. All right, so I do want to show you one kind of advisable action to take, especially if you got a really big account and you're just starting to use Adtactix, because this action will help you prevent kind of going in the wrong direction really quickly, because you can be very aggressive with some of these rules and start to really drop your impressions, which is going to drop your sales. I would not recommend doing that. So here's what I would recommend you do. Now, if you have a brand new account, you're just getting started as a seller, this isn't as important because you're probably going to try to just make more sales. But again, if you're 6 figures a month type of run rate, you're going to want to definitely take a look at this. So go and click enable targets from your optimized menu. This is just going to reset your sponsored products. It's going to sort the orders from largest to smallest. And as soon as we have that, we're going to grab some of the main targets that are doing really well. And we're just going to not change those for a week or two, just so we can get acclimated with the tool. And we're going to deploy some wasted ad spend reduction strategies to help you regain some of your budget. And then you can start to optimize some of these other ones that are kind of in striking distance but aren't doing as well as your top performers. So what I'm suggesting is take a look at what's towards the top of this list and just kind of get a overall view of where your orders really start to drop off. So I'm just, for the sake of this example, going to do anything with 30 orders or more. Again, that your data here could be over the past 30 days, or I would recommend the past 60 on your first at least go around here. So I'm just going to grab in column A all of the targets, and you can do this on sponsored brands and display as well. I'm just doing it on sponsored products for the sake of this example. So what I've done is I've just hit Control C to copy those cells. I'm going to hop over into the dashboard here, and you'll see a blank row in the template here at the top. If you want to add some additional rows, just go ahead and click anywhere in the row above where you want to insert it. Click on the plus, and I'm going to put in maybe 5 extra rows. This is just to kind of spread things out a little bit. So one advanced kind of tactic with Autopilot is you can add overrides. So you can see the rules that I've generated here in the kind of default template. They're not specific to any specific target, campaign, portfolio, ASIN. They're just kind of optimizing everything in general across all 3 types all at once. But let's say, for the sake of this, we want to kind of keep those targets I just selected the same and not change those, but we want to change everything else. In that case, what we can do, we can actually choose an override type of target and just double click in this one row, hit Control V. That's going to paste on one line at a time within that cell all of those target override fields. And that's just kind of a unique identifier that we automatically create in the sync operation. So you don't really need to know what that's doing. Just know that this kind of step that I'm taking here is going to exclude these specific targets that are doing very well from this kind of general optimization that we were doing below it. All right, so I'm just going to say keep these the same. All right, and then I'm going to, again, how we did this other one, I'm going to do modify bid based on the bid, and I'm going to set this to 0. This is going to not change these targets, and then I'm just going to leave, all of the thresholds and everything as they are. In order to turn the rule on, you do need to check it on, and then you need to either pick all ads or select from the match type that I showed you earlier, just the ones you wanted to choose. Now I do have an override, so when I choose this all ads, it's just going to apply it to the override. So one really important concept you need to understand is with the autopilot here, you need to have a rule assigned, a rule number for every rule that you want to run, and it does need to be unique. The other important concept is rule number 1 at the top of the sheet is going to run first, and then the second row, then the third row, then the fourth row. So this is how I like to do it. That way you can actually kind of sort them if you want, or it's just really clean and you're able to kind of stay organized. You can also, if you have groups of rules, you can highlight the rows like this, right click, view, group the rows. That just kind of condenses things so you can create different sections, just stay organized. There's really complex rule schemes that I've seen. You can really get creative here. But honestly, the simpler you can make it, kind of the more consistent you can become. And from what I've seen, that's really a strategy that I would suggest you take from the onset. But anyway, this here, I'm going to rerun this and you'll just see kind of what it's doing. So I'm going to hit the blue button again. Know that you can rerun your autopilot rules however many times you want within the same session. It's not going to hurt anything, so if you go and you're guessing and checking kind of on your rule numbers and you don't like how one of them was performing, you can come back in here, tweak it, rerun it. And once you're happy with everything, you can see how it would become a lot more efficient with each subsequent session that you do, because you're really not going to have to set this up. You're just going to be running this bulk file through the tool. So I'm going to hit OK. You can see 21 targets now were not changed. So I'm just going to go back and look at rule number 1 now just to prove that to you. So you can see none of these were changed. And we do have, just to see how many, you've got a count of 21. So there you go. So that is pretty well how I would recommend you start kind of learning the bid optimization process. Once you've ran autopilot, you're actually good to create an output file. To create an output file, it's as easy as coming in here to the optimize and export menu and clicking step 2. We've already optimized our bids with this button here. This is just another way to do it from the menu. You can click this. Now this option here allows you to kind of troubleshoot these target status if they're not set to 0. So in this case, you would click the sponsored display and then you would see why those targets were not getting optimized, and then you could create a rule so they would, and then just rerun it. So there's some fine-tuning operations here. We've got some additional training on how to kind of deal with those. It's not really overly important for the sake of this training. But to create your output file, you are going to come in here. Now, if you do have campaign level negatives, Amazon does not support those in the bulk operation. So you just need to click any of these buttons here that apply. So if you have campaign level negatives, if you have the new expanded ASIN targets, they're not currently supporting that either. So you basically just click any of these that you want to remove, and it's going to automatically remove those from our tabs down here. It's not going to actually remove them from your campaign manager and in your running ads. It's just going to remove them from the bulk file. And then you follow that up with clicking the create output file. If you want to do one at a time, you've got options here, or you can do them all at once with this option here. This option here, the old bid, that's only for an operation where if, say, you'd want to pause some targets, you can come in and create an output file that doesn't have anything to do with bids. So if you're messing with bids, just know you want to do the export all new bid, or you want to click any of these 3. Now, I'm not going to do this right now because you only want to export your file as the very last step kind of in your optimization session. In this example, I want to also cover harvesting new search terms and bulk negating really quick. So before I create that optimized file, I'm going to hop over into my search term report. And we're going to very quickly just see if there's any really bad performers in our research campaigns, and we're going to bulk negate those. So what you've got on the settings tab is some kind of quick filters. So if we scroll up here, you can see under the Stoptimizer limits poor performers, we've got some limit set of impressions, click-through rate, spend, and clicks. You don't need to use these, but it's just a quick way when you're first getting acclimated with the tool to kind of learn. So you can come up to the reduce wasted ad spend menu. I'm going to go ahead and click run the Stoptimizer operation. And what it's going to do, it's basically going to look at that criteria and it's going to flag any of the rows that met that criteria. So you can see we've got about $225 worth of wasted ad spend here that we're just going to go ahead for the sake of this example and bulk negate everything. You may, in your case, only want to bulk negate the research campaign. So, exact match or ASIN targets, pausing at the target level does the exact same thing as bulk negating. But for the sake of this example, I'm just going to go ahead and check any of these that I want to negate. You would maybe want to go through row by row and look at all the search terms, see if they're really highly relevant. If they are, you may not want to negate them. But know that this column here is the target, and then this column here is the search term. So this data may not make 100% sense. It's some really crude kind of sample data, but this is what you're spending on in your ads, and then this is what the customer is actually clicking. So in this example, we're actually negating these search terms in these campaigns. So you've got the campaign, you've got the ad group, and then here's our search term. So in order to bulk negate anything from our search term file, you just check the boxes, come up here to reduce wasted ad spend, you hit add selected to bulk negate tool, and it's going to send any of these that are checked over to another tool, this red one down here at the bottom. And once you have that, all you need to do is choose the correct negate type. So you just want to pay attention in the search term. If it's an ASIN, you are going to need to choose this last option, and it'd be an ASIN if it's a product ASIN targeting ad or a auto campaign that's firing off ASINs. But for the sake of this example, let's just say we're going to do negative exact for all of these, and I'll just drag this guy down. So these ones with the match type where it says exact, that's coming from like an exact campaign. If it's blank, it's coming from an auto campaign. But you can go ahead and negative exact, auto keywords in an auto campaign, and then also keywords in any of these match types. So once you have that decided, you're just going to go back up here to the reduce wasted ad spend and create negative upload file. This is going to create an upload file that you can upload right to Bulk Campaign Manager. And as soon as that uploads, essentially the next time you download a bulk file, you'll see the data in that bulk file is going to show that these search terms are negated in those campaigns. So theoretically, you won't be wasting any more ad spend on these terms that you have been in the past 60 days. All right. So there's your bulk file. Now you'll know if you messed up if these IDs aren't showing up here. Just know that the sequence should be you sync your bulk file with your search term report. You're going to do any bulk negating or new kind of search term harvesting and campaign building, and then you're going to do your bid optimization and create that file last, and you should be fine. All right, so I'm going to wait till after I actually create some new campaigns here next, and then I'll show you how to actually generate the bulk negate file, the new campaign file, and then also the bid optimization file that we are already kind of messed with. But this is where you need to get to for your negative upload file, and then you're ready to actually create the export, but we're going to come back to this here in just a minute. First, though, let's go back to our search term report. And again, this is the same report we used to actually do our bulk negating. We were looking at kind of the bad performers in this case. We want to actually look at the good performers to create new campaigns and do some search term harvesting. So a quick way of doing that is actually just reset your filters. So there's a button here, Reset Search Term Report. You can click on that. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually use a feature called the Quick Harvest. So come up here, click Initialize ST Report. You're going to see it's going to add some additional columns here to the end of our search term report. And it's actually going to tell us how many of each search term that we're currently already targeting in each match type. And it's going to give us a very easy kind of user interface with these checkboxes that ties in with our bulk campaign builder tool. So it allows you to kind of plan out a bunch of different campaigns that you want to build in bulk, and then just click one button and it's going to actually build them all for us here really, really fast. So the way I like to do this is just come into this view maybe twice a month, let's say, every couple weeks. And you're just going to come up here to orders, click Z to A, and this is just going to kick all of the higher performers towards the top. And if we kind of look over here to our right, we see SKW-E, that means single keyword exact. E is just exact, broad, phrase, and then ASIN targeting. And then you've got the corresponding match types here for actually generating the campaigns. So the way I would recommend you do this is kind of in batches. So kind of do one SKU or ASIN at a time, and then also the ASINs versus keywords at a time. So I'm going to just do an example here with keywords. So I'm just going to filter this by keyword only. So that's what the KW stands for. All right. So you can see here I've got, for example, this search term here, this search term here, this search term here, and it's showing up in exact match for this one time, exact match here, it's in a broad here. So what I'm going to do is just do one, I'll do the yoga mat here. I'll just do one kind of SKU at a time. And let's just say I want to pay attention to these here. You could just very easily go down through your entire list. Now, if this is your first time doing this and you've got 60 days worth of data and a very established account, you'll probably have a lot here to kind of chew on, but this is just a very simplified kind of demo data set here. So I'm going to look at anything that exact match it doesn't have. So let's say I just wanted to fool with exact match. I could very easily just show blanks there with that filter. And then I'm just looking at exact match there. But let's back up one. We'll do multiple match types at kind of once just to show you how the functionality works. So essentially what we're going to do is say, okay, for this guy up at the top, we literally don't have anything. So I'm going to put it in a exact, phrase, and broad, just for the fun of it. For this one down here, it's not in broad here, so I could put it in a broad. For this one here, it's not in a broad or a phrase, so I could put it in a broad and a phrase. For this guy here, it's not in a broad, so on and so forth. I think you get the gist. This one here, it's not in any of them. So I'm just kind of going down through and deciding how I want to structure these new campaigns. Now, what you can do in these columns is decide, hey, do I want to put it in its own campaign, or do I want to have a multi-keyword campaign for each of these new campaigns I'm building? So let's pretend I want to do 2 single keyword campaigns. And then in here, so the single keyword campaigns, you would generate 2 different numbers. So I kind of messed up. This would put them both in the same campaign. So it would put this keyword along with this keyword in its own campaign for this SKU. So to put it in 2 different campaigns that only have 1 keyword, I would do it like that. So 1 and 2. Now let's pretend for these other 2, I want to put them all in the same campaign. So one broad and then 1 phrase campaign. So the phrase, I'm just going to put the number 1, the number 1, the number 1. And then for this, I'm going to put the number 1 all the way down. So that will just build me 1 broad campaign. All right, so that's kind of the structure. Again, you want to do the keywords first, then the ASINs next, because it's kind of 2 different bulk campaign systems. So we're going to come in here now, and you've got a standalone bulk campaign builder. We're not actually using that in this application here. We're using our search term report and kind of automatically populating the bulk campaign builder with this information. So to do that, you go to Adtactix, search terms, and then you click on build campaigns once you've kind of outlined how you want your campaign structured here. So all right, so after you click that button, you're going to be directed over to the bulk campaign builder. It's going to ask you, do you want to create new campaigns, create new ASIN targets, so on and so forth. We're going to create new keyword campaigns. So you click the number 1, hit OK, and you're just going to see the bulk campaign builder here automatically populate with our information. So you can see here's our 2 single keyword exact campaigns. Here's a phrase campaign. Here's a broad campaign. Now you see some kind of variables here that didn't get populated, and that's because I haven't updated the custom names yet. So you can define your own custom name kind of nomenclature here with the bulk campaign naming tool on the settings tab. It's pretty self-explanatory. You basically just use the number 1 through whatever that is, 8 or 7 or 8, to identify, hey, I want to put the ad type first, then the ASIN, then the match type, and for the ad group, I'm just going to show the SKU. And then if it's got a custom variable here, you just type that in. So the other thing you can do is if you have single keyword campaigns, you can check that little box there. It's going to actually populate the keyword wherever you have that displayed. So if it's at the campaign, it's going to be the end of campaign name. If it's in the ad group, it's going to be the end of the ad group name. Same with the date. This counter helps if you have a bunch of the same match type. You definitely don't want the same campaign name. Amazon won't like that, so that just throws like a unique identifier numerical value at the end of your campaign name. And then you can change your delimiters. It's pretty, again, I think pretty intuitive once you kind of mess with it. But I'm just going to go with the general layout here and hop back into the bulk campaign builder tool. And we're just going to update our custom names really quick with this button here. So you'll see now all of these dynamic variables are going to get kind of swapped out. Right, so there you go. And the fact that nothing's red means everything's unique. Now, granted, these multi-keyword campaigns, I definitely don't want the campaign name or the keyword name in there rather. So I'm just going to kind of manually go in and edit. At this point, it's a good time to make any kind of changes to any of the names. So I'm just going to call this whatever, multi-keyword. And we'll do the same with this guy. Shouldn't be a duplicate because it's a different match type. Multi-keyword. All right. That's pretty good there. Now, there is an advanced feature that if you do want to do a multi-SKU campaign, at this point, you can come into the actual SKU column. And I think it's Command Enter on a Mac or Alt Enter on a PC. You basically just hit that. It might be Control Enter. My keyboard's a little messed up. So anyway, advance to a new line, and then you would just put the second SKU, whatever that is, right there. Granted, you might want to change your ad group name if you end up doing this. It just depends. But after you've kind of got this established, obviously you can change any of these kind of placements. So say for these single keywords, I wanted to target top of search. I could do that. I'll throw in like a 25% modifier for this one. Let's say I wanted to change the budget to $20. You can also add negatives. So for these research campaigns, if I wanted to add some negatives, you add those exactly how you do the keywords, one keyword per row, and then you just choose your negate type. Again, pretty intuitive. There'll be another video too on the bulk campaign creation process. Anyway, here's kind of your initial setup to actually generate the new campaigns. Now we're just going to come in and click Create Campaign Upload File. Very similar to the bulk negate process that we already went through. It's just going to generate a final output that we can then upload back to Amazon Bulk Ops. So here you can see the files getting built. And you can see the multi-SKU campaign we made here has just this additional product ad entity. And then we also have the bidding adjustment for top of search for that one. So you can see the 25% that gets populated. Now at this stage, if you did want to do unique target level bids, you could come in here and kind of edit those accordingly. Next bulk file that we download for the next kind of optimization session, all of these are going to be in there. Now to actually generate your final output files, we've got our sponsored products campaign sheet here. I'm just going to show you an example of generating that. So you can come in here, you don't need to worry about any of the filters or whatever the state it's in. You'll just come up and if you do have campaign level negatives, you'll just click on this. So it's just going to automatically remove those for you. It's not going to remove them from your campaign manager. It's just removing them from the bulk file so you can upload it to Amazon because they are not supporting campaign level negatives currently. All right, so you'll get a prompt when it's done. Just hit OK. And then similarly, if you're using the expanded ASIN targets, you'll just click that on your sponsored brands. If you have any drafts or negatives, you have to remove those as well. So if these don't apply to you, you can just skip these and go ahead and create your output file. If you are targeting all three ad types, you can click this one here and it's going to generate 3 separate files automatically. For this example, I'm just going to kick out the sponsored products file. So you literally just click on that. This prompt here kind of talks about, hey, if you're wanting to generate new campaigns like we just did, or the bulk negative file, you want to make sure you do that first, kind of what we talked about earlier as far as the order of precedent. And then the bulk optimization file like we're doing right now, do that as your last step. So it's just kind of giving you a warning there. I'm going to click yes, and you'll see that it's going to give me a prompt that the file got saved in my Google Drive. I'll show you where that got saved to here in just a second. So there you go, click OK. Now I'm going to go and generate my negative file and then my new campaign file. So click here and you can see we've already created it. Now we just need to export it. So go ahead and click on export. Same deal, hit yes. And exactly the same process, we'll go in and generate our upload file. So that guy's in the bulk campaign builder down here at the bottom. So export to Google Drive. We've already created it. So we want to generate our sponsored products. All right, and then where these files got sent to, basically if you open your Google Drive folder here, when you authorize Adtactix, there's a couple folders that got created automatically. The FBXL tools folder, that's where your tools actually get stored, as well as any subfolders that kind of go with the tool. So you can see the Adtactix folder here. This is where the file will be automatically saved into, and then here's some supplemental report folders that are used with the tool. But the other folder that got created is this FBXL export files folder. So if we double click on that guy, you're going to see the 3 files that we just generated. So how you'll upload those is you'll go back to the bulk operations manager. So I usually just use this link here again, and it'll open you back up into Seller Central. You do need to be logged into Seller Central before you use this. You're going to basically use the upload button, which is right here in step 3. You'll just kind of skip over this stuff, click choose file, and then you'll just upload all 3 of those files back to back to back. And then there'll be a little kind of status underneath it. It takes pretty quick, 3 to 5 minutes or so, just to kind of update the status there. And then you're good to go. You can double check all the stuff in Campaign Manager, but everything should reflect accurately. So that is pretty much it for the quick start training. Again, we went over the bulk optimization for bids. We went over our bulk negating. We went over our bulk campaign creation. Those are really the 3 core operations, if you really focus on here over the next few weeks, that are going to move the needle for you in a strong way. Now, if you do get stuck or you want some additional advanced training, take advantage in the members area. There is a free onboarding call that you can use to like ask questions, and after you kind of get your feet under you, that can be a good kind of phase 2 to learn a lot more quickly. So know that that's there. The last thing I wanted to do before I conclude this training video is show you kind of how to handle the next optimization session. So it's really easy. Basically, you're just going to come up here, click import, delete used sheets. That's going to completely reset the tool and kind of clear out any of this used data. Before I actually do that, though, let me show you a little trick. So I'm going to click no. What you can do in Google Sheets, pretty nice, is save versions. So if I go to version history, name current version, I could call this 12.11.23. Go ahead and save that. I think you can actually store like up to 30 of these before they start overwriting themselves. But let's say in a week or so, I want to come back to this version. I could come here, click see version history, and then you'll get a little slide out here that allows you to kind of go back in time. And you could pull up that version and then revert back to the old version or the most recent version as well. So know that that's kind of there because it can be kind of handy when you're wanting to bounce back and forth. So I'm going to X out of this here. All right, so to kind of clear out everything, just click the delete used sheets. All right, and then you should get a prompt that says reset successful. You'll just go ahead and click OK. You'll see all of kind of your supplemental data has been removed, and you've just kind of got back the default template. So that's a key thing to understand with Adtactix is you're basically running the bulk files and supplemental files through the Adtactix tool, and you're generating these output files, and you're clearing it out. It's kind of a cyclical process. With each time, you're grabbing that new data that's in Ad Manager and picking that date range. So you could theoretically have multiple date ranges worth of kind of runs with this tool. Say you wanted to do something every 60 days. That could be one date range kind of data set. Then you, on an ongoing kind of maintenance mode for your ads, maybe you just do a running 30-day each time. So you can kind of have different files and run the files through the system that way. But next time we go to run it, we're just back here to square one where we started this video at. We're going to download our new data. If we want to do any supplemental data management, that's at this step. And then we're syncing the data, and then we're ready to optimize all our bids, create new campaigns, bulk negate. There's a lot of other auditing tools and things like that in Adtactix. Again, you can check out the guide and the other training videos for that. But the nice thing about after you get it set up initially is everything's going to be kind of locked into place and ready for the next import. And it's just a matter of kind of tweaking things, and it becomes a lot more efficient. So anyway, guys, I hope you learned something on this quick start training. If you do have any issues at all, we don't want you to get stuck. We don't want you to be frustrated. Contact our support email. We'll actually hop on a call with you and kind of walk you through the steps, or we'll record a Loom just to make sure you're crystal clear on things. We want you to be successful And we're very confident you can do that with the tools we have here. So see you guys on the next training. Cheers.
Anh chị đang bán hàng trên Amazon. Skyrock cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USBTO, từ Thailand, từ trên Scout, logistics và warehouse. Xem thêm thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.